Hello, I'm Thaw again. I'm the world record holder for both the Lilac Unrestricted and Lilac Standard. This is Freedom Planet 2. There's a lot that needs to be explained like right at the start of the run, so I'm just going to go over a couple things before the start of the run real quick before our, things get too hectic. So one of the main gimmicks behind Freedom Planet 2 is that there are multiple playable characters. I'm going to be playing as Lilac. Lilac is sort of different from all the other characters. Just to give a basic rundown of all the differences. Lilac is much more based upon carrying momentum, whereas all the other characters, at least I feel like mostly are just built around constantly like gaining speed rather than carrying your momentum. The difficulties don't really matter. Beginner is the best because of Elemental Burst. All Elemental Burst does is just give you slightly extra damage. And to explain Unrestricted, difference between Unrestricted and Standard. Standard forces you to play on the current patch of the game at 60 FPS only, because there's a lot of things different between the patch that we're going to be playing on for this run and the current patch, and I'll try to explain those as they come along. And as for the FPS thing, I won't go too much into it. Again, that's going to be something I'll try to explain as it comes up, but just know that there will be some FPS-based strats throughout the run. That being said, time starts when I click Nope here, to skip the tutorial. So that'll be 3, 2, 1, go. So the first level of the run is Dragon Valley, and the first thing we're going to do is go into the settings and turn on No Knockback. You don't need to know what exactly that does right now. Just know that that is going to be important for a strat later. So I'm going to go over some of the tech. You'll be seeing me do these sort of drop kick things. Those are very important because doing those will allow you to gain speed without, or gain height without slowing down. This game has a mechanic called air drag, where as you go upwards you slow down. This is to make precision platforming a lot easier. But obviously, we don't need precision platforming. We just want to go fast. And doing a dive kick just removes air drag. A couple other things to note is we have a move called Cyclone. That's really bad what just happened there. Right here you'll see Cyclone. Cyclone is probably one of the best moves in the game, to be completely honest. You might have also seen me do a little dash move that is known as a Dragon Boost. Dragon Boost is also really good, and it's the main way to gain a ton of speed very quickly, but it does have a couple second cooldown. I'm going to take a break talking about tech because I'm going to grab a gold gem here. Gold gems are good used for buying items. A little spoiler warning, we will not be doing that very much. And the only other move I really feel the need to mention is the uppercut, which is a significantly better double jump. You can see it right here. It gains basically just as much height as a normal jump. And now we're going to fight a boss. Okay, I got the quick kill. So this boss is kind of unique, which is really funny because it's the first boss in the game. A lot of bosses run on a constant cycle, but this boss will only... This boss basically has two phases where it's walking on the ground and then a phase where it's in a ball. And you just kind of want to minimize the amount of times it's in a ball. And you can limit it to only 2. Right there, you could do 2 phases before it starts walking for the first time. And yeah. Now I'm going to enter Shenlong Park. Now, if you're used to seeing runs of this game, you might know that you're supposed to buy an item. That is intentional that we didn't buy something. I'll explain that afterwards. Right here, I'm going to switch to 30 FPS to try to clip out of bounds. Yeah, I figured that was too far. That should be good. There we go. Okay, I need to do movement. There isn't much to explain when I get back in bounds, so I'll explain what happened when I get back in bounds. Okay, so you might have noticed in the first level that this game has loops and overlapping collision. In order to do that, the game has these layer triggers which set the player's collision to certain collision layers. Basically what we do there is that we do a classic speedrun strat where we bypass that layer for one... We bypass the trigger in 1 frame, so we're behind it 1 frame and in front of it the next frame, so we never actually touch it, so the game doesn't set our collision layer properly, which allows us to basically phase through the entire ground. Also, right there, we had to stop to grab an item. That item is not going to be important till significantly later on, so that's another thing you have to keep in the back of your head. This is the one thing that kind of sucks about running this game, is that there's so much to explain in the beginning that you oftentimes just forget something. There's probably like 5 things I'm just going to be like, oh yeah, I need to mention this thing because it's important. There's actually one tech you need to mention in this boss, and that is the Uppercut Cyclone. If you, okay, that's great. Sorry, I had to concentrate on the boss real quick. But yeah, there's a tech in the game called the Uppercut Cyclone. If you cancel Cyclone out of an uppercut, it will transfer the attack data of Uppercut in the Cyclone. Cyclone is supposed to be kind of weak, but hits a lot of times, and Uppercut is supposed to be strong, but is very, like, laggy. So you basically get the benefits of both, because you basically get the benefits of both. Right here, I bought the Accelerator, which I'll often shorten to just Accel Pot. And that's going to be the main potion we use for the entire game. So as I mentioned before, usually you would buy the attack bot. But I actually discovered, I want to say like 6-ish months ago. Like this is, in the grand scheme of things, relatively recently. That it's about like 10 to 15 seconds faster to do Accel Pot. Because the amount of time you lose from having slower boss fights is outweighed by the amount of time you save by being able to go faster. Also, this is Tiger Falls. Tiger Falls, there isn't much to mention. I feel like a lot of levels are just not going to be much to mention. So, yeah, right here I'm going to do very specific movement in order to go through this hole perfectly in order to make it cycle. One thing that I find funny about running a game like this since the beginning, because I've been running this game since day one, is that when that cycle got found, the person who discovered it was like really hard. Like, this cycle is really hard, and I think he might have, like, insinuated that wasn't worth doing in a full game context. And now that's honestly on, like, the easier side of things we do. Oh yeah, that's a tech I gotta mention. So, that's called the Uppercut Dragon Boost. If you, input an uppercut, like, within, I think it's frame 8 or 9 after inputting an uppercut. If you input Dragon Boost, you will be able to go upwards during the Dragon Boost animation, which is really useful for gaining height. Also, this is Rosebud, one of the worst fights in the game. And there's a manip strat I tried to do that I completely fumbled. So we might be here for a while, because this fight is not that good. The main gimmick of this fight is that he likes to go... I was actually... Okay. I was about to complain, but that was actually a really solid fight. That was a really solid fight. But yeah, his main thing is that he moves around randomly. There is a manipulation I found that loses like a couple of seconds over a normally perfect fight. But I think having the consistency is well worth it, because if you don't get good RNG on that fight, you oftentimes lose like... You can lose like 10 to 15 seconds compared to like the consistent 2 if you do the manipulation. You know, I mentioned that I'm going to forget something, and I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I can't exactly remember what it is. Right here, I'm going to go out of bounds again. Never mind. I have no idea where I'm at. Okay, this is bad. I tried to go out of bounds there. There's a hole in the layer triggers, which allows you to get out of bounds there. I'm just going to do the level normally. It is technically... There is another out of bounds spot you could do. But honestly, this level's 6, so I'd rather just, like, do it normally. This is Monster Cube. He's not much to mention. okay, whatever. You typically want to kill the boss before he gets to that flying state because he's really hard to kill in the flying state. But with the Accel Pot, it is incredibly difficult to do that consistently. I tried to get it to work consistently, and I barely was able to get it more than like twice in a row. One thing that that's kind of nice or also awful, depending on how you look at it about the early part of the game, is that there is a lot of tricks. Like, there's 5 levels in a row that have, like, either have, like, a massive trick or are just incredibly annoying. And speaking of levels with massive tricks, this is Shade Armory. Shade Armory is one of the longer levels in the first part. A lot of the levels in the beginning are not that long. But Shade Armory, even at, like, top levels, about, like, 3 minutes to complete. Except a little spoiler warning. This, if I... hopefully will not take 3 minutes. I'll just say that much. If this level takes me 3 minutes, we have a massive problem. So right here, I'm going to get a 30 FPS again. And now I'm out of bounds. Now we're going to say hello to the boss, except we're going to completely ignore the boss. And we're going to end the level early. So I would explain what just happened there. But the next level has the hardest trick in the game, and it's also a very similar concept. So I'll explain it after the next level. I've like barely ever done that. Forgive me, I've like barely done that. But yeah, this level is one of the hardest tricks in the game, and also has a very similar concept. So I'll explain after this level. Thank you. I don't think this is gonna work. Never mind, that hella worked. I might be too high. Okay, thank you. So yeah, that is Snowfield Skip. So about the grabbing the card out of bounds thing. So this game, every single of the star cards, which is usually the end of the level, they're all out of bounds. But typically, due to the way that out of bounds is set up in this game, it is nearly impossible to grab them. Those 2 levels are like some of the exceptions. Like the only... What is going on? Oh my god. I'm losing like 10 years already and we're not even at the hard part. Yeah, basically in those 2 levels, the out of bounds is like set up in such a way that you're actually able to grab the star cards early. Just know there's not going to be too many other instances of that happening. Okay, thank you. This is another out of bounds clip. So 6 tricks in a row actually if you count this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That one's really annoying because sometimes it just doesn't work. 1 second. I gotta concentrate. I gotta count my blink dashes. No! It might be over. Okay. that was almost unrecoverable. But I think I missed the cycle. Yep. You have to wait like 3 times if you miss that. But oh my god, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, one of my practice runs, I spent like a minute and didn't get it. Because like I said, it just sometimes decides, you know, what would be funny. What if I just didn't work? Okay, thank you. Oh my god. Average AV Museum. Oh yeah, I think I forgot to mention it. So you might have noticed I switched to no stocks before I started the level. That is intentional, because for some reason, if you have no stocks equipped, or if you have Elemental Burst equipped, on older versions of the game, this is no longer a thing on the current patch, the boss will like freak out and will have like a 10-second animation on the transition to the final phase. There are ways to deal with it, but it's just typically better to unequip Elemental Burst. Right here, I'm gonna do a blank dash cancel. I'll explain that in a bit, but I gotta count my blank dashes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so a little bit of an explanation there. So this level, Airships Iguana, is just like a bunch of mini airships. And you're normally supposed to go through each of them, at least for the first half, and then fight a boss. We just skipped all of that because it's all on the same map, and I'm able to bypass this door via pushing a key block into me. This game is really hard to solo commentate because it's really hard to both concentrate on the run and also explain everything that's going on. Like I said, do not be shocked if multiple times throughout the run I'm just like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. This is the boss I skipped earlier. Never said anything about actually fighting the boss. And this is the actual boss of the level. This boss is kind of annoying with Accel Pot, at least in my experience, but this is honestly looking like a pretty decent fight. Insanely good fight. Insanely good fight. Oh, that was nearly a perfect Airships Iguana. Like, a low 2OX is, like, basically all I could ask for. Also, I just remembered, I forgot to unequip auto guard. That is a really bad habit I've been having ever since, switching the route. I used to do, AV Museum and Airships Iguana last out of the routes because, you could just get away with keeping auto, no stocks equipped for Airships Iguana, but then you can't do that anymore with Accel Pot, so I figured it's slightly faster to do this route last for slightly less menuing. Yeah, I guess now is a good time to mention why I had why I kept auto guard equipped, and also talk about why I had no knockback, because there really isn't much to talk about in this level. It's just general movement. So if you noticed in Snowfield Skip, I kind of had those bounces off of the bullets. Those are possible with auto guard. My theory as to why they work, because we don't actually know exactly why they work, is that for one frame the game guarantees you knockback before the auto guard goes through, because I think it has to detect that you got hit before actually giving you the auto guard. And because of that one frame of difference, you can get bounces off of it like that. That's the only known use, and the reason we have no knockback is because it makes the I've never had that happen before, thanks game. But the reason for no knockback is because just general preference, I prefer playing with no knockback, and also it makes that trick a lot easier because the launch at the end of the trick is significantly more consistent. It will always send you directly upwards, whereas with no knockback, it will oftentimes send you to the side, which makes the trick nearly impossible. I would say this is like the first calm level to run, but I'm playing really poorly. Still decent Phoenix Highway. I would have preferred about a mid 4x, but in a no reset context, you can only complain so hard. Now after that, we have another level that is pretty intense. Not pretty intense, but there is a trick in this level. Little spoiler warning. I actually think that's good. Insane. So yeah, we're out of bounds again. What's funny about this trick is that this trick was actually known about since, like, the first month of the game's release. Like, we found this really early on. Good. I don't. There's the baseball. Yeah, we knew about that, like, really early on. I had a really bad move, man. I lost, like, 5 seconds there. Oh my god. I like had an epic fail. Oh my lord. But yeah, so that trick was discovered. I have no idea why I never got patched. This is Harold. Harold is really funny because he is one of the few RNG dependent bosses in the entire game. Some other runners of this game will try to tell you that it's not RNG. I do not believe them. I very firmly believe that all these bosses act independently. Honestly, besides for the second phase is usually the bad part. But that was honestly like a pretty good second phase. That was a pretty good second phase if I had to say so myself. Now we move on to the Battlesphere, and the Battlesphere is also relatively chill. There's only like one trick, and it's one of the easiest tricks in the game. In fact, honestly, like anyone watching this could load up the game. Or even just buy the game and probably do this trick like first try. But first we got Beginner's Gauntlet. There's not much to mention here, except I have like an allergic reaction to practicing this level. Ideally, you would always get like sub 30s in this level. Although how I played right there, this probably isn't going to be a sub 30. For the longest time, I would only ever get like, that was still like decent. Because I think the best you could reasonably do in like a full game context is 27, unless you go for like insane stuff. But yeah, back to, oh wait, sorry for that split. But the best I would always do is like a 35, and I just would never feel like practicing it. This is Bakunawa Battle Royale. This is another like RNG part of the game, but instead of being a boss fight, it's because all of your friends are helping you, except they, no offense to them, kind of suck at helping you sometimes. Specifically, I think Nira, she's the Ice Panda woman. She is sometimes the worst because she will freeze an opponent, and because they aren't grounded or something, they don't count as dead. I have no idea why. I don't know if that's a bug or intentional. That was actually a really good face seven. But yeah, sometimes she'll like kill someone with like her ice beam, and they won't count as dead, so you actually have to like hit them out of the ice beam, and it's really annoying. And that was honestly a pretty good Battle Royale. I would honestly say anything above, like, under a minute is good. This is Hero Battle Royale. It's the most RNG part of the game, so. Okay. That was still really good, though. Oh my. Anything below a 20-second is really good for this level, just for reference. So that was insanely good. That actually might have been a PB, because my PB is like, or that was close to PB, because my PB is like a 13-second. This is Kalau's challenge. This is like pretty easy, because you just have to do the same movement 5 times. And the movement is not that hard once you get used to it, so it's just like getting your rhythm down. Sorry, did I say 5 times? I meant 4 times. You only do it 4 times. Okay, so that skip at the end there is pretty interesting, because it's one of the few skips that Sabrina knew about, Sabrina being the head dev of the game. It's one of the few skips that she knew about, but she never patched it, because she actually never knew the cause of it. I haven't looked into the code of the game, but my theory as to what causes it is that as soon as you enter the final lap, it spawns in the goal. Because the level is actually just like one continuous loop. Like whenever you get to the end, it just oh what? Okay, kind of messed up the movement there. I lost what I was saying. But yeah, whenever you get to the final lap, it spawns in the goalpost, but it doesn't have any code to despawn it whenever you go back over the line, which is what causes it to stay there. That still works on the current patch, by the way. Like I said, they never figured out what caused it, or they never figured out a solution for it, so they just never patched it. A few things I forgot to mention while I was distracted talking about why that trick worked. This is Globe Opera 1. You might have noticed we bought a couple items. That is the last time we're going to buy items. We bought 2 items, which is the Payback Ring and the OKO. OKO, again, you can just remember that later. Remember when I mentioned no stocks earlier? So what Payback Ring does is that gives you a damage boost if you have no stocks or lives remaining. And no stocks means you have no life remaining all the time. So as you can figure out, that's a pretty overpowered combo. In fact, it's kind of like the de facto combo for this game, I would say. Like, literally every single character uses it at some point. That's how good it is. This is Beast 1. Beast 1 is one of the more annoying fights, especially on Accel Pot, because it's insanely hard to get the quick kill, and you lose, like, 10 years if you fail the quick kill. And I just hit the classic of complaining about something being hard and then instantly hitting it. That would have been an insane Globe Opera 1 if I didn't, like, mess up a couple things here or there. Also, casual no-hit because I got an S rank. Oh my god, okay. Globe Opera 2 is one of my favorite levels, though I think it's, like, pretty controversial. It starts off with a cycle around 40 seconds into the level that you kind of have to hit. I put in the category of, like, easy to do, but kind of, like... It's easy to do, but it's also, like, kind of easy to mess up, if that makes sense. Because if you make, like, one... Not even, like, major mistake, like, medium-sized mistake, you're most likely not hitting it. But it's also, like, relatively easy to just not make a mistake. And as you can see, I hit it. There was a minor optimization I found that makes it a lot easier to hit. So the main gimmick of this level is that there's 6 doors. And each of the doors is sort of based off of a previous level you've played. And you have to go through 4 of them. One thing I would like to point out is that one of the other Lilac renders of this game actually discovered it's like 4 seconds faster to do the AV Museum room over the Phoenix Highway room. But I actually haven't gone around to learning that yet, so I'm just going to be doing the old route. So, Avocado, if you're watching this, I apologize. I just didn't get around to learning AV Museum. If you remember the key block clip in Airship Zaguado, we're going to do the same thing here. For some reason, they, like, pseudo-patched it out of the game on current patch, so it's like... It still technically works, but it's significantly harder for absolutely no reason. I'm a bit biased because, like, I would say about 75% of my time in this game is spent on the older version. But I wouldn't say I hate the current patch. I just strongly prefer Unrestricted. Yeah, the room I just did here... If I learned the AV Museum route, it would be replaced with AV Museum, which is kind of a shame because I do genuinely like that room. And we got Shenlong Park. I think technically you could also replace Shenlong Park with AV Museum room. I think. I forget the exact timings. But, in general, I think it's just better to do... to replace Phoenix Highway because it's harder than Shenlong Park. Now we're going on to Beast 2. Beast 2 is one of my favorite fights in the game. It's also relatively tricky. Okay, I got like one of the hard parts. For the best cycle, you have to destroy entire health bar while he's dashing, which can be pretty tricky to do. I don't think I'm gonna hit this. Oh, I'm actually shocked I hit that. That is an insane globe hopper 2, by the way. that is an insane globe hopper 2. I think that's like less than a second off my ILPB, by the way. My ILPB is like a, I know it's somewhere in the 309 range. I forget the milliseconds off the top of my head. Next up is Auditorium. Auditorium is the first boss stage, which means instead of doing any movement, we just have to fight a boss. Alright, I'm instantly losing a cycle because I forgot how to do them. I completely forgot the attack pattern. My bad. Not that big of a deal. One time in practice, I actually died in this level, which is something that rarely ever happens nowadays. I did that so early, I thought I paused. Wait, what? Okay. But yeah, there's two bosses. This is BFF 2000, which I find really funny, because despite the fact that this boss is more intimidating, because it's a giant robot, it's actually easier than Beast 3 in terms of like going fast. I guess you can see there. Yeah, no, the BFF, that's BFF 2000, by the way. Really fun fight, in my opinion.
Cyclo, that's how it's done.
Next up, we got Palace Courtyard. I'm gonna make another loadout for this level, and you might have noticed I equipped OKO. The reason for that is because there's a, this level also has a gimmick where you can actually win in two ways. You can either beat the boss at the end of the level or get a game over entering into the final room. Both those award you with a victory, and obviously one of them is faster than the other, especially if we grab this. Alright, if we grab OKO. But it does mean we have to do the entire level without getting hit, which is much easier because we could do this. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that right there was a soft boundary skip. Very rarely the game will use these soft boundaries in order to prevent you from getting somewhere, but those soft boundaries, instead of actually being boundaries, they just push you away every single frame, or at least I'm pretty sure that's how they work. So if you build up enough speed, you can just bypass them all in one frame. That's actually a skip every single character can do, by the way. I think earlier this year, I actually discovered a way to do that as both Carol and Nira.
I have fought better.
Which is really interesting. Now we go on into the second half of the game, and the first level we have is Title Gate. I love Title Gate. Don't really know. Oh, okay. I lied. I hate Title Gate. I have no idea what to do now. That's like the one disadvantage of Lilac, is that if you mess up the movement, it's really hard to recover in some contexts. I forgot to mention, that's another out of bounds clip. I think that one, no, that one's actually, believe it or not, faster as every character except for Mila. Mila is considered the most broken. And I think the fact that that's not faster as her is kind of a testament to how broken she is, because she's so fast normally that it's actually slower to go out of bounds than it is to just play the level normally. Which is really funny to me. This fight is also interesting because we actually fight entirely out of bounds. And I failed the quick kill. So we're probably going to lose like a bunch of time here. Yeah. Yeah, you want to kill the boss before it goes into its second dash. You can typically beat the level in about 1 minute 20 seconds or so. So I lost like 20 seconds from that. Actually, probably more like 15 from that, but still. I don't think there's any chance it's actually PBs, but there is a good chance it's Accel Pot PBs. Now we have another section of the game where it splits off into 3 sections. And we're going to be doing Skybridge first. For the most part, it doesn't matter the order you do the levels in. I think I forgot to mention the first time around. I micro-optimize. I do the longer ones first because then you don't have to menu back to the origin point. Yeah, because then you don't have to menu back to the origin point if you do that. It saves like very little time though. We're going to skip over this arena, and we're going to go over this way. I forgot to mention you, nice. You normally have to do these, arenas. And there's 3 of them throughout the level. You normally have to do them. So we're going to skip them. We're going to go back to 30 FPS. And now we're done with Skybridge. Honestly, for failing the first part ones, 121 is not that bad. 121 for failing the first part of the level is not that bad. I think I forgot to go to high zoom. Let me double check. I think I forgot the menu to high zoom. I did, in fact, forget the menu to high zoom. So the reason we want to be on high zoom here is because for some reason, the cycles in this level, at least to me, I could be entirely wrong, but they just seem a lot more consistent if you play on high zoom compared to if you play on mid zoom. But we want to play on mid zoom because there's a handful of advantages earlier on in the run if you play on mid zoom. Oh my god. This lightning tower is already going amazing. Yeah. I'm like 5 seconds behind what I would want to be into this checkpoint. Okay. What? Cool game. Oh my god, what is going on? I'm like so locked out. I'm like barely managing to keep it together at the moment. It's so crazy. Now I'm about like... Oh my god, what is going on? Oh my lord. Cool skip here. It's not really skip, but it's more just like movement. Oh, what is going on? I'm so glad I had 2 shields there. If I had 1 shield, I would have gone hit and then cried. Cried all the way home, man. What? Sorry. I made one mistake and now my entire mentals messed up. What is going on? Yeah, you could just blink dash cancel. I think now is a good chance to explain blink dash cancels because that's another thing I remembered. If you blink dash off of a slope that is facing to the right, yeah, facing the right, it will cancel the ending and will give you vertical height. I have no idea why it works because again, I don't look at the code. Okay, thanks, game. Oh my lord, it's over. It's so over. Yep, that was horrible. That was horrible, lightning tower. I like geeked out so much on that lightning tower. Oh my lord. There's no chance this full game. I think there's a good chance, unless I mess up something else, that this Accel Pot PBs. But there's literally no chance anymore that this is full game PBs. Or like overall PBs. This is Zulang Jungle. Zulang Jungle is a pretty annoying level in my opinion. It's a level that is incredibly easy to mess up. Oh my lord. I think I might have messed with the quick kill. Miracle. That quick kill is kind of difficult because, the quick kill is, like, a tad difficult because it's one of those things, pretty easy to do, pretty easy to mess up. Sorry I was, like, silent for a majority of that. I was very much concentrated because that's a pretty difficult level. Next is Lilac Lake, and, little spoiler for Lilac Lake. This is the last time I'll go to 30 FPS for the entire run. So I can just do some. So I'm gonna switch to 30 FPS, do a one dash cancel here. And now I'm out of bounds. So normally you're supposed to grab 3 parts of the BFF 2000, but instead we go out of bounds into a further checkpoint and instantly earn the BFF 2000. This is a common thing games do. You'll see it in a lot of other games, where basically the game assumes that you have to have something at a certain point, so it just gives it to you. In this case, it's the BFF 2000, so we're instantly in the BFF 2000, and now we're going to have a mech fight. I lied. We're just going to clip out of bounds to the end of level. So the way that trick works, I'm pretty sure, is that, Titan Armor, that boss is Titan Armor, by the way. He, goes so fast that he's able to, clip you out of bounds. He's going so fast he's able to clip you out of bounds, and right under the collision there is where the star card is at the end of the level. And if you remember, all the way back earlier on, I mentioned that every star card's out of bounds. That's like one of the few other levels where you can actually grab a star card out. I think that's the last level actually where you can grab the star card out of bounds. Like I said, it is incredibly uncommon to be able to grab the star card out of bounds. Because it requires a very specific, set of conditions. So this is Ancestral Forge. Again, I'm like very... Like I said, this game is really hard to solo commentate. But Ancestral Forge is sort of the puzzle level of the game. A lot of casuals hate this level because of it, because it's also like a really long level casually. This level has a lot of skips. Like, I just skipped basically the entirety of the water puzzle there. Oh, my lord. No! Fall Guys! I bet if I blinked that, if I dive kicked like a bit earlier, that's so sad. I lost like 10 seconds to that at least. I'm like so far behind at this point. Like I typically want to be here like 10 seconds earlier. So crazy how bad this run is right now. Nice. Again, sorry I'm being silent. Like it's kind of a never-ending. It's kind of like every time I talk, I fail, so it causes me to talk less. So right here, final few puzzles. There's very interesting ways to skip these. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the water level rise. Which will cause this platform. I can get a momentum drop off the platform, which allows me to do that. Then I'm able to position myself here, Dragon Boost, and that's the entire level. So, and now we're on to Nuzlocke. Nuzlocke is hated because he is... One thing you need to know about this game is that there's very little actual RNG in it. This is one of like 5 bosses that is like RNG dependent. Okay, I think I failed the quick kill. Why are you all the way over here, man? That was honestly pretty decent, all things considered. Like, this isn't a good Magma Starscape, but I will gladly accept it with how this... Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty bad Magma Starscape. I completely lied. That's a pretty bad Magma Starscape. Typically, I would say anything in the low 4-2x range is about what you would want. Up next is a really fun level, Magma Starscape. Magma Starscape just has like a lot of cool movement. And some pretty interesting skips as well. You're able to come up here. Oh, that skips like a decent amount at the bottom. We're going to do something slightly abnormal here. We're going to go up to this area, wait for another Dragon Boost. And now we're in this area. I don't think Lilac is normally supposed to get here. I think this is a Carol-specific area. But Lilac doesn't care about the rules, and then we can just do this. A little fun fact about that area that I find really interesting is that how you do that area slightly differs depending on whether you have Accel Pot or Attack Pot. For some reason, I think due to the fact that Accel Pot both increases your acceleration and your deceleration, you actually have to do that area slightly differently if you have it. There's like a different strat that is like 1/4 of a second faster, specifically only if you have Attack Pot. It's like a second slower with Accel Pot. Again, because like I said, I think it has to do with the fact that, like I said, I think it has to do with the fact that Accel Pot affects both your acceleration and deceleration. Now we're at the boss of the level. This boss is incredibly hard. So hard, I'm going to say if there's any donations, you can read them out right now. Okay, I'm going to ask donations to stop real quick because there's a skip I can do at the end, which allows me to skip this sort of ending sequence. So let me see if I can hit it real quick. Might work? Okay, thank God. Like a lot of things in this game, that falls in the category of like easy to hit, but also easy to mess up. And you lose like 10 to 15 seconds if you mess that up, so it's like really bad. Next level is Diamond Point. Diamond Point, I consider to be like one of the hardest levels in the game, so I'm going to ask for silence while I do the fight. Okay, that's actually really nice. And that is Diamond Point. That was a really good... I'm going to have to check that Perusa afterwards. That was a really good Perusa, I think. Actually, maybe... I don't think that's a PB, but I'm still going to double check that Perusa. Because I know for a fact that's a sub 20. Actually, no, that's not a good Perusa. Whatever. This is Gravity Bubble. It's the required water level, but unlike most games' water levels, this is actually a fun level. It's because Lilac can do infinite dive kicks, which allows her to gain insane speed. Because I never got the chance to mention this, but dive kicks actually gain a little bit of speed. I probably should have mentioned that during Palace Courtyard. Or Sky Bridge. But yeah, dive kicks gain a tiny little bit of speed. I think like just here. I don't think this is going to work though. That worked! There's like another hole-in-one you could do there, but that one's insanely hard. I get it. I've been really consistent at it recently, though, so I can't really say much. But that's a trick that I would say is usually like a 1 in 5. Thanks, game. Okay, that's definitely, like, high. There's a cycle coming up here that can either be high or low. And if you kind of guess wrong, that is something that is like a micro, thanks game? That is a micro optimization I want to add, is, kind of figuring out, like, when to go low and when to go high there. I've sort of half figured it out, but not, like, completely. This ending cycle is pretty interesting because it could be kind of hard to... what is going on? I thought it was like pretty fast. I think I'm like average pace for Gravity Bubble. At least with Accel Pot. Yeah, this is about like average pace. Now I'm getting chased by a giant laser. A little bit of a story explanation. So that right there is the Bakunawa. Murga, the final boss, wants to resurrect the Bakunawa in order to eat the moon so she could leave the planet, to rot because her entire people got genocided, yada yada yada. Play the game if you want to know the details. That's basically the gist of it. I'm gonna go out of bounds here though. So yeah, there's a hole in the ceiling there, and you could just go through. Well, not a hole, but like if you go forward a little bit, you can actually raise the ceiling a bit, which allows you to go over the trigger, which normally takes you to the end, which allows you to swim to the end, which takes about like 10 seconds. Next is Bakunawa Chase. The only thing to mention about Bakunawa Chase is that it's a shmump, shoot 'em up, if you don't know what that means. And I'm going to purposely go out on my way to kill enemies, because every time you kill an enemy, the level goes slightly faster. That's about it. You could just do commentary for the rest of it. Or not commentary, you could do donations, I mean. Oh my lord. So right here is Crabulon. There's apparently a quick kill you can do for the fight. I have no idea what the quick kill is. All you need to know is that typically what you want to do is stay close to the boss so that you can bypass his arms and still hit the main body. Because it doesn't matter if you kill anything else. There's like a bunch of things you can hit, but the only thing that matters is whether or not you hit the main body and the boss is dead. I consider Crabulon to be probably... Crabulon's either the easiest or second easiest boss. It's kind of interchangeable between whether Crabulon or 100 Trillion, the boss of Magma Starscape, is harder. Now we enter the hard part, or harder part, with Bakunawa Rush. Bakunawa Rush is... How do I word this? Bakunawa Rush is like the beginning and the end. It's not really a hard level. I don't even know if I would necessarily call this level, like, easy to mess up as well. It's definitely like sort of in the middle of difficulty though.
There's things you could definitely mess up in it. One thing you might notice is that a lot of bosses from previous levels are going to be showing back up again. I recently played Chrono Gear, which is the most recent title by the developers of this game. I think that's something they just like to do. They just like to bring back bosses for the end of the game. Another thing, and this is like kind of a critique on their level design, because I think this is also an issue in Freedom Planet 1, is that they love to do enemy spam for the end of the game. I remember that being, I think that was a problem in Freedom Planet 1. It's kind of a problem in this game, although not as much, and it's definitely a problem in Chrono Gear. By the way, you should totally play Chrono Gear. It's a really fun game. Since not much is really going on, I can go over some trivia. Right here, it is technical. If I was running an IL, it would be about 4 seconds faster to switch to 30 FPS. Because I can do this, wall break in 3 balls, whereas it normally takes 4. However, it takes about 4 seconds to go to and from 30 FPS, which ultimately means in a full game setting, it's about even or slightly slower to do that, which is why I didn't do it there. But it is something you can do. And now I'm about to get to the final part of the level. Where I'm going to clip out of bounds again. I'm going to be silent because it's kind of easy to mess up, and I will lose a ton of time if I mess up here. And now we're at the end of the level. So this is Rail Driver. It's kind of like a newer version of Tunnel Driver and Zulong Jungle. Another trivia for a strat that I didn't do this run. You can there's a strat where you can fight this boss out of bounds, and it saves about 10 seconds in full game. The reason I'm not doing it is because I didn't get around to learning it. It is one of the hardest strats in the game, so I don't do it in full game yet. Although I am planning on adding it. And to be honest, I was too busy de-rusting everything else to actually learn this strat for the marathon. I was considering learning it, and I got the quick kill. No. Never mind, I lied. I didn't get the quick kill. That was still a really good fight, though. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I just didn't get the time to learn the trick for full game. It is an insanely hard trick. I think it might be the hardest trick in the game execution-wise. It's either between that or Snowfield Skip. In terms of raw execution, there's a skip that's harder, but it's only harder because it's incredibly inconsistent. This is Refinery Room. It's also probably a really hard. It's also a really hard level, so I'm going to be silent for this. Oh, nice. That was a really good Refinery Room, by the way. With Accel Pot, for reference, the best you can realistically do in a full game context is about a, like 37. But that's, like, getting a sub 40 is hard, even with Attack Pot, so getting that close is really good. Now we enter the part of the game that I call the Gauntlet. That's because it's 3 levels in a row that all have something about them that makes them incredibly difficult. The first part of the Gauntlet is the easiest, Clockwork Arboretum. The only thing that makes Clockwork Arboretum necessarily difficult is the fact that it's an incredibly long level. It takes about 4.5 minutes to beat this level. This level is split up into 7 different floors. Technically 8, but the last one is just a rest period before the boss fight, so I don't count it. Each of the floors kind of have a different gimmick. Although the one thing I will say is that I've been getting really good at clockwork. I've been saying that as I am epically failing literally every single aspect of this level at the moment. Yeah, I've been getting, like, shockingly good. Like, there was the longest time when I would even struggle to get 4 3Xs, but now I'm kind of at the point where I somewhat consistently get 4 2Xs. Although I'm probably going to need to practice after this, because I am epically failing at every aspect of the level right now. Oh, okay, never mind. This still isn't, like, an amazing. I'm, like, 5 seconds behind what I would want to be, but that was, for those that don't know, that vine, normally by the time you get back there, it's supposed to be down, but occasionally it can stay up, and that is really bad. Because you want that to be there, so you can get a dragon boost. So we're going to lose, like, a couple seconds on the, like, right here. I was going to say, no way I lost my shield. I was in Dragon Boost there. The 5th floor is probably the worst floor, in my opinion. It has a really interesting gimmick, but I just don't know if it's just not fun or if it was executed poorly. But yeah, basically all these enemies, they don't do much on the way through, but on the way back, you kind of have to deal with all of them. It's really annoying. Did pretty good, though. That level, that floor isn't honestly that bad once you actually learn it, but I think I do remember that being, like, an incredibly annoying level. And I was like, oh, that's great. And I was initially learning the game. Or at the very least, I remember being, like, scared of learning that floor. You could just skip, I think that level you're normally supposed to do, like, a different route on the way through and on the way back. But, you could just not do that, and you could just, bypass, the route on the way back. Ah, that's bad. That's bad. This is actually like a... No, this is like a mid Arboretum. This is a mid Arboretum. This is Core 2. Core 2 is kind of annoying, so I'm going to be silent for it. No, I practiced that, man! You're joking! I practiced that. You're fucking joking. I'm so mad. I'm so fucking upset. I practiced that. I practiced that. No! Yeah, PB's 100% dead after that. I think as long as I don't mess up Inversion Dynamo, this is Accel Pot PB, but I think unless I play perfectly, there's no way this is a full game PB. I keep doing that for no reason. I don't think it matters, but it's still really annoying. So this is Inversion Dynamo. What is going on, man? Yeah. This level is simultaneously my favorite and also incredibly annoying at the same time. I do consider this to be one of the harder levels, but I honestly have a lot of fun with it for the most part, so I don't really mind as much as, like, Refinery Room. Refinery room or... What was the other thing? Diamond point. Right here, you can skip this puzzle by holding down. For some reason, I'm not joking when I say this, it only works if you have VSync enabled. I am not joking. There's another skip I'm going to do here. If I mess this up, I'm probably going to end up losing like a minute. I'm not joking. Oh my god, that is like... That is an insanely important skip to hit, by the way. So like I said, about half the time I miss that, I unironically lose a minute, because you typically, you get an extra life, because if you collect too many gems, you get an extra life. So what happens, I get an extra life, that means I get less damage for the boss, which means I, lose a lot of time on the boss, which causes me to lose a ton of time in general. Like, I lose time on the skip, then I lose time on the boss. I did that so early. Okay, I got the backup, though. I discovered you can, blink dash cancel into one of the teleporters to, kind of halt all your momentum. I have no idea why it works. It's one of those things I sort of accept this does work. Nice. Insanely good Inversion Dynamo. Insanely good Inversion Dynamo. That wasn't a perfect Inversion Dynamo, but to be honest, you can't expect much better than that. Yeah, there's no way this PBs. That's so disappointing. Next up is Lunar Cannon. Lunar Cannon is very weird because in theory, this should be like one of the hardest levels in the run, at least in my mind, but I like really consistent at it for some reason. Hopefully that wasn't a jinx, but... No, I messed up, I messed up. I messed up. So the main gimmick of the level, at least for a speedrun, is you have to be weary of your shields. You get 4 shields throughout the level, and you want at least 2 for... okay, that's great. You get 4 shields throughout the level, and you want at least 2 for the final boss, because the quick kill requires you to damage boost. Or at least damage tank, and you can't take knockback. So shields are the only way to do it. So if I lose 1 more shield, it's very likely that I'm going to lose like a lot of time to the boss. Part of the reason, I actually do not have IL record for this level, and part of the reason is that, the new route requires you to only get 2 shields. Which is really difficult. Or not really difficult, but it's really scary. What am I saying, man? This is Lunar Command, it's pretty difficult. That was honestly like a pretty good Lunar Command. I think that might be Instacard, but he might be like slightly too far off to be Instacard. If I get a perfect Murga, this could be like a 1-second PB. But I need like a perfect Murga. This might be the first run that is BPT into Murga that choked though, because I don't know what my Murga gold is. So this is Murga. Murga is split up into 6 phases, all of which are based off of like different moon things. I would love to explain every single phase, but every single phase is like 20 seconds. And I just want to focus on the run, so I'm just going to let the fight speak for itself.
offering will be a masterpiece. Blue Moon!
That was bad.
Super Moon! Everything will end.
Oh my god.
Eclipse.
Oh my god! Please, man, please. This would be so funny.
Lilith.
This would be so funny. I'm begging you. I'm begging you. This would be so funny. Good backup, good backup. I think it's iffy. I don't know. I don't know if it's it. I think that's it. I think that's it. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. The stupidest PB of all time, man. You're joking. That has to be it. I don't think my gold is too flat. I don't think my gold is too flat. You are joking. You were actually joking, man. What is this, like 4 days before the event? 4 days and I get like a 2-second PB, dude? So stupid, man. So stupid. Oh my god. You were joking. There's no way that was a PB. Oh my god, That is so funny. That has to be like one of my best PBs. Because it's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. I want to see. Oh my god, it's so stupid. That is so stupid. Oh my god. I've never seen a 115 and I never fucking will, dude. Okay, I probably will see a 114, but the fact this is the second time where my PB was technically a 116 because my Accel Pot PB was a 116 and I like just choked it No, it was like a, what's the difference between what's like the opposite of a choke? Because it's like a reverse choke. Okay, I don't feel like ending recording yet. I probably should end recording, actually. Oh my god, I still can't believe that this PB, dude. This run was on life support since Ancestral Forge. It was like 20 seconds off PB. Like 20 seconds from BPT, from Ancestral Forge till the end of the run, and I still somehow PB'd it. Like, that is crazy. That is crazy, dude.